Coffee break of 2026, and it's actually mine and Amy's. She's kind of a ghost right now. There she is. We're having some lighting issues.
Okay, there we go.
There you go. Scoot over here into the light, Amy. Into the light.
Okay.
That's kind of weird. We're gonna have to work on this. So thanks for joining us. We will figure out the lighting on this to where Amy is not a ghost the whole time. And then there we go. So maybe a different room that we do this in at some point. But welcome to Coffee Break.
Welcome to Coffee Break.
This is our first one to do. And you know what? It is all about buyers. So if you're here and you're thinking about buying a home in 2026 or anytime at some point in the future, you are in the right place. So we're going to get started here in just a moment. Hopefully we've got, okay. All right. Got some folks joining. Okay, cool. So here's the thing. You might be watching the replay of this because if you registered for this and couldn't make it, you're going to get an email with the link to rewatch. Great enough job. We might even make the rewatch available to the rest of the world. If it's a complete bomb and we mess it up totally, then you're going to get exclusive access to that, and you can do with that what you want. So really, this is all about buying a home in 2026, specifically in the Twin Cities and Minneapolis. And so we're going to talk a little broadly, so that you might be in an area that we don't talk about today. And that's okay, because we can be here as a resource for you to get whatever information that you need. So as we go through this, here's what to expect. We're going to talk for about 30 minutes about things, hopefully relevant to what your situation is. And then at the end, we'll leave some time at the end for some questions. So if you have questions as we're going through, if you take a look at the top right of your screen, there's a little talk bubble with a question mark on it. And if you hover over that, you can see that you can ask a question. And so you can do that at any time. And I believe I've got those set to private. So like your questions are not necessarily going to show to everybody. So don't worry about that if you're worried about, a lot of people are worried about asking questions because they might think it's a dumb question, so to speak. No question's a dumb question, but feel free to ask at any time. And just know at some point during this webinar, we will have that question answered for you.
Or try to.
Or we'll try to, or at least get some info to you. So here's what we're going to talk about today. So first and foremost, it's about what buyers in the Twin Cities need to be thinking about as they're going through here. So what should they be doing right now? And the first part has to do with understanding the market. So we're going to talk a little bit about understanding the Twin Cities market. The next piece that we'll talk about is what are some things that you can do to set yourself up for success when we're talking about getting started looking for a home.
And the next would be common myths about your credit.
Yeah,
and then it's about the whole process itself.
Yeah, so we'll hit on some of those things as well. So if we get through this today and you're like, wow, they didn't talk about what I needed them to talk about, that could be in your question. Just submit that and maybe we'll include your topic on the next webinar. So before we start, real quick, we'll do the 90 seconds introductions.
Okay.
Amy, why don't you start?
Okay. I'm Amy Gildemeister. I've been a realtor for almost 5 years here in the Twin Cities area. I am a lifelong Minnesotan, very thick accent, I'm aware. My previous life or my previous career was as a paralegal in bankruptcy and real estate foreclosures. So I have a knack for contracts and just the legal processes on the back end. And I enjoy people. And so it's a great fit. And I work primarily with first-time home buyers and senior citizens, but I work with everybody. So we like to work with all sorts of clients.
Yeah, we have our specialties for sure, but we'll work with anybody. Danny Wallace. I am not from Minnesota, actually, and that's pretty rare probably to hear a realtor say that. But if you hear a little twang in my voice, that's because I did grow up on a ranch in the middle of nowhere in Texas. And so I like people a lot more than I like cows, except on tacos. I like cows when it comes to eating. But anyway, I have a background in education, 6 years in secondary education, and about 15 years in corporate technology sales. And so I've got a lot of negotiating and a lot of educating. And so hopefully that education piece will spill over here as a value. So without further ado, let's just start talking about the market here in the Twin Cities area. So whenever people ask us, we'll go to a party and someone will find out you're a realtor. What's the first thing they ask you, Amy?
What's the market like?
And what is your answer normally?
Well, it's actually not a one-part answer. It's always just another question because it varies. There really is a different market for whatever area you're in, depending on the type of property, the location, timing, all of it. So it's a great question, and it just opens up the conversation to what their needs are.
So the question the answer is really a question. So what part of the market are you most interested in? So since we're not asking that of you today, we're not asking you to give us information about your specific market. We're just going to start high level and show you why it's important to really be able to separate what you maybe hear on the national news with what's going to be impactful to you. I mean, there are stories about real estate and buying that some are doom and gloom, some are great. But we want information that helps you make a decision. So the way that we do business, we're not the realtors that try to get you to sell your house or try to get you to buy a house. You know, we work with people where they are and get information to them to help them make a good decision. So let's just talk about that. I'm going to share my screen here and we will take a real quick look at the very first piece, which is the 16 county Twin Cities region. So hopefully this is on your screen here. You can see this is a report that transparently all realtors have access to. That's a lot of numbers, but the 16 county Twin Cities region, if we look at 24 against 25, you'll notice number one, this is November. That's because we're a month behind on data always. We did just get some preliminary numbers for the last week or so of December, but we will get a full readout like this here.
Next week, like mid-month.
So next week sometime we'll get the full readout in December. So we can actually use this information to see what are the trends. So we look at, let me just zoom in a little bit more, maybe make that a little more legible new listings right here. 2024 to 2025, you can see it's pretty flat. There's 3,728 listings taken in November against 3,726 the previous year. So pretty
really
flat.
Big difference.
Not much at all. The number of closed sales, a little bit down, almost 6%. And then the reason why the sales are a little bit down and the number of listings are up is, I mean, look at the price. The prices went up a little bit, almost 3%. Mm-hmm. So that's the median sales price. So if you remember from middle school math, when you take all the values, you stack them up from the largest to the smallest, that one right in the middle, that is pack is what we look at the most, because if someone sells a $5 million home, that can skew averages, mm-hmm. right? But the median will tell us kind of what's the trend of the overall pack. Okay. The other thing we look at is the days on market. That's how long that these things are taking to sell. November, 50 days in 24, 50 days in 25.
Just shy of 2 months. Mm-hmm.
The inventory, that's the number of homes that are sitting on the market right now. It's down a little bit, but still pretty close. The month supply, the way I explain that, it's kind of like a bathtub. Once you turn the spigot off, the water stops running. How long does it take to drain? And that's how we look at it this way. If the number of homes that we have on the market right now in the Twin Cities region is what it is, 9,209, selling at the rate they're selling right now, how long would it take for them to all be gone if no more homes came on the market? The answer is roughly 2.5 months.
Which means,
what does that mean?
That means it's a seller's market right now still.
Still is in this region. When you get closer, we start getting above 4 maybe in most places, it might start to be a little more balanced. 6 months is pretty much 50-50. It could be anybody's market. And we haven't seen that in a while. Right. So that's what we start with and I want to show you a couple more examples of how we can compare this. So I'm going to stop sharing that page and I'm going to share one that's just say Minneapolis. Same report and the numbers are different. Of course, we're dealing with a lot fewer homes. New listings were down a little bit. The number of sales actually were down quite a bit, for almost 15%. The median sales price, though, still kind of flat in the city of Minneapolis. The days on market, they're selling a little bit faster this past
year.
Yeah, than the previous year. So we look at that, the month supply is about the same. So the number of homes on the market, if it feels like you're seeing fewer signs in yards, that's because in a lot of places, in Minneapolis anyway, there are fewer signs in yards. So it's a little bit less, but not a ton less. So that's Minneapolis. Well, what else is out there? Let me show you two more. Let's see, how about, let's do St. Paul really quick. Again, different, right? But in this case, new listings are up. Closed sales are down. Median sales price is up. We're at 300,000 in November last year. So we crested the 3. We got a 3 in front of it for St. Paul. Yeah. Month supply, we're still close to 2.5. Okay, so what that means is pretty much anywhere in the area, it's going to be similar for all types of homes. Lastly, since we are in Edina, this is Edina Realty, let's take a look at Edina because
it's kind of renowned for having its own kind of market.
So it's different.
There'll always be an asterisk when we're looking at the Twin Cities numbers because Edina will always have its separate because it just kind of goes to its own tune.
Look at this. 5% more listings.
Lots of activity. Edina.
Sales are up.
Yeah.
Prices are up. The average sales price, the median sales price, both up. Days on market, here we go, 57 to 64. So they're taking a little bit longer to sell, right?
Yeah.
The inventory is down a little bit.
Yeah.
And the month supply, it's actually it's close to the same. So 2.7 compared to 2.8. But so I guess all this to say, if you're thinking about buying a home, it's really important to zero in on where you're interested in looking. And if you don't know where, that's something that a realtor can help you decide.
Absolutely.
You know,
we ask a lot of upfront questions to funnel all that information into making you make the right decision.
Right. So that's what's happening in the market right now. But some other things can apply to it too. And Amy alluded to that. She said something about the type of property. Let me see if I've got something here I can share on that. I do. And this is going to be interactive. And just so you know, if you're like, wow, can I get that report? I'm going to provide all of those reports in the handouts here at the end. So just hang on, we'll get you that. This, what I'm going to show you, I can't provide to you as a handout right now because it's going to be dynamic. Let's see here. Where is it? There we go. So this is a tool that realtors have, and I know it's kind of an eye chart, but you can see that we've got price range, we've got property type, we've got construction type, seller type, whether it's traditional or a foreclosure, et cetera, square footage, number of bedrooms, and you can see that kind of keeps going. This, do we have waterfront? Those things can all change. So if we look at the price range for all price ranges, all property types, everything, and this is in the Twin Cities region, it's that 16 county Twin Cities region. The median price was $390, and that's over the last year. It's slowly grown. But let's see, what if we said, let's talk about condos. Condos, it's 205 and it's been flat. If we look at days on market for condos, and that's down here at the bottom here, where is that thing? Did they move it? No. Days on market went up 40% for condos.
It's on the market a little bit longer.
They're taking longer to sell. Well, let's look at single family homes. Days on market for those are down 5%. If we look at the sales price, the median is up 3.6%. So depending on where you're looking, if something's on the market longer, if it's taken longer to sell something, is that an indicator of it being more of a buyer's or a seller's market for the people that are looking? What would you think? If it's taking longer, it's probably more advantageous for the buyers, right?
Absolutely.
The sellers are not happy it's taken forever.
Absolutely.
So if you've got a property that's been sitting for a while, they might be a little more open to negotiating with you.
Yeah. The winter months are actually a really good time to actually purchase a house or a property.
If you can find what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
The prices are generally, depending again,
Traditionally a little bit lower.
Usually the days on market are usually longer. And so that means sometimes it's not as hectic. You're not competing with as many people usually. And those are all strategy points to talk to your realtor about whenever you're looking, the area, but then also the property type. And so it goes on and on. Townhomes are different too. So all these are different based on the type of the property.
So if you're not ready to buy right now and you're thinking about buying in the spring, this is the time to prepare.
Yeah. Spring market, typically you get an influx of buyers, but you also get an influx
of inventory.
But usually the growth in buyers out there looking is usually a lot bigger percentage wise than the growth in properties. So you end up seeing a lot more situations where you've got multiple offers, and as a seller you want multiple offers. As a buyer, that's not something that you want to have to deal with, but you have to have a strategy going in. And one of the webinars in the future, we might talk about a little bit about writing offers and what are some things some levers you can pull whenever you're writing offers that can help you be competitive and still, get a good value for the home that you're purchasing.
Absolutely.
Thoughts on anything to add on that, Amy?
Not really.
Okay.
No. Well, pretty straightforward, other than the fact that our statistics these next couple months are going to change significantly. So that's what makes it exciting for us.
I know everything's changing all the time, and you'll hear some realtors complain about it. We
love it.
We thrive on chaos most of the time. Keeps our attention. So let's talk about how buyers set themselves up for success. So if we're sitting across the table from you for the very first time, let's say that you're a prospective client, and we're talking about, okay, what is the first thing? So what do you think, Amy? What would be the first bit of advice you would tell someone to take for their first step whenever they're thinking about buying a home?
Well, talk to a professional.
Sure.
Or you're asking a question?
Let's say they already are. So
okay.
You're talking to
a realtor.
Number one, that's a great.
What is your budget? What can you afford? Are you able to even purchase a house?
Yeah. Can you do it with what your financial situation is? So, I mean, a lot of times we'll ask, well, what's the range you're looking in? And I kind of get a little bit of a doe-eyed stare sometimes. Yeah. And it's like, what do you mean? I don't know for sure. Right. And it's because should probably figure out what the financing looks like. If you've got cash, it's a little easier, if you're making a cash offer. But if you're financing, the very first thing that we tell people is, let's get you pre-approved. Because I would hate to waste a bunch of our collective time hunting down the perfect property and then find out it doesn't fit your particular financial situation.
It's happened before, and it's an emotional thing. A lot of buyers are happy and excited about something, and it's heartbreaking if they can't really afford and it's not their budget. So we make it a rule of thumb to make sure that you're in the right price point for the houses that we're looking at, that you're pre-approved, so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and if you're a little bit nervous about it, like maybe you've never bought before, or maybe it's just been a while, that's totally normal. I've been nervous every house I've ever bought.
Yeah, it's a big decision. It's one of the biggest financial decisions you're going to make. So
yeah, and that's one thing that when you go through the process, if you've got a realtor, of course we want to, this is kind of our little advertisement for what we do, but you know what, we know that we're not for everybody, and we can't really take care of everybody anyway. So when we say talk to a realtor, we're not saying that
just talk to us.
It's not just us, but somebody,
a professional
that knows what they're doing and that like and trust, and can get you some good information. If they're not getting you good information, doesn't matter how much you like them or trust them, You kind of have to have all of that. So make sure it's someone that can get you the type of information that helps making the decision not quite as stressful. And that's the best way to go. And so talk to a professional, but then secondly, who can you talk to for a pre-approval? Now anybody can go online and get a pre-approval at the online mortgage companies. We are partial to certain mortgage consultants and companies, but I would recommend, strongly recommend talking to someone that's got a local presence. That it's a person, not just a link that you get that says, here's what your pre-approval is. Because for instance, Edina Realty Mortgage used to be called that. Now it's Prosperity Mortgage. That's under our umbrella of companies. You know, it's a sister company of ours. We don't get paid to do anything with mortgages. Can't do that. But I do know the way that they operate. They do a full workup before you go in and make an offer to make sure that you really are pre-approved.
Not only that, when we're touring homes, they can give you a breakdown of what your monthly payment, a really, really good educated guess, or not a guess, but with all the information about the house that they have, so you know what kind of payment you're looking at.
Yeah.
And you might even be able to afford more than you think you can.
That's possible too. So it's just information that you need to know to be able to make a good decision. And
so you don't have to wait for someone to get back to you that doesn't work evenings or weekends in New York or something. So highly recommend to use a local presence.
Yeah. One of the things that I know most of, even outside of, I know that was our little plug for Prosperity Home Mortgage, but we have other folks that we love.
We do
as well, that we work with, and all of them, if asked, will call on your behalf when you make an offer and say, hey, you know, I am the mortgage consultant for XYZ company. You just got an offer from an agent at Edina Realty, Amy Gildemeister, on your home. I just want you to know that her the offer that she just submitted, the client has been vetted, and
it's a strong
financial position. You know, if that's the situation, and that can be just one thing that kind of helps push you over the line if you have a multiple offer situation. But that's my only plug for offer strategy right there. So if you take one thing away with you today, have a mortgage consultant that helps make the job easy for you.
Yeah, sellers like to deal with lenders that communicate and can give good information, and buyers.
All right, let's see about questions here. So I've got a question here. Do I need 20% down to buy a home?
Absolutely not.
Nope, you don't. So that is it nice to have 20% down? Yes. That way you don't have to pay private mortgage insurance. But you can get a loan for as little as 3.5% if it's FHA. If you're a veteran, 0%.
Yeah.
You can take out a loan for 100% of the value of the home if you're a veteran. So that's a pretty amazing benefit right there. Another question here is, what's my minimum credit score? What does it need to be to get a loan for a home?
Is it 700?
Thankfully not.
Is it 600?
No, actually for a conventional loan, there's not a minimum now. It used to be, I think it was like 620, something like that, for a conventional loan.
Yeah, that was the prevailing rate, yeah.
Now there's not one. Now you might not want the payment because depending on your credit score, your interest rates can go up, things like that. But there's not a minimum score. Also for FHA, you can do a 3.5% loan if you've got 580. For a credit score. So there are some minimums for FHA, but just for other conventional loans, there's no minimum. Great question. Okay, so setting yourself up for success going in. I feel like understanding your financial situation is important. Assembling your team, I would talk to a realtor right away, as well as a lender right away. And then even maybe even an insurance person. So if you don't have an insurance person, let's say you're renting and you don't have renter's insurance or anything like that, Your realtor should be able to give you a referral for someone that can at least give you a quote on what insurance might look like for the home that you're putting the offer on. So that's something you can do before
Yeah,
you ever make an offer.
That's a hot topic as of late. It's on the news, and so it's good to talk to a professional maybe before you put an offer on.
Yeah. So let's talk about our last piece here.
Okay.
What can you control before you even buy? So buyers prepare early by focusing on the finance piece.
Mm-hmm.
Not thinking as much about what's the overall cost of the home as far as, what's at list price, but what does that mean to me if I'm going to be taking out a loan? What does that mean to me from a budget perspective? If you're paying a rent right now, you want to know, is it more than what I'm paying for rent? Is it the same? Is it what is it?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that, also getting an idea about your credit situation of what does that mean to you? Do you need to, if you were to make some changes to your credit, your finances, could you increase your credit score and get your approval to be better? So there are some things like that your mortgage consultant can help as well. And I think the last piece of that is what are some mistakes that you can avoid that can cost buyers time and money? I'm thinking of one or two. Do you have any on? This is a little quiz. This is the quiz show. I'm just asking Amy questions.
Repeat the question one more time.
Some common mistakes that people make
When they're buying?
that can cost, the buyers, that can cost them time and money.
Well, they could be looking at a house that they can't afford, and they find out they can't put an offer on it, so they've wasted that time. They make a high price purchase on their credit card.
Oh yeah.
Or they'll finance like furniture. This could happen even in between when you are under contract to when you close. You might think, oh, I want to buy this furniture and it's on a payment plan. Don't do that.
Yeah. So once you have a pre-approval in your hand, don't take a loan out on anything if you cannot put anything on credit.
And that includes a firm too, like those, if you want to buy plane tickets, sometimes they'll have like a payment option. Those are considered an installment loan. So that would change and affect your credit.
Uber Eats now, you can finance your Uber Eats. I don't know. I haven't heard about that being a problem yet for folks, but
it could be.
It could be. That's a good question to ask some of our folks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I've seen a lot of furniture ones. You go to Slumberland and you want to buy your furniture for your new house that you're going to be moving into and put it on a payment plan, and they can't close on the house. So
until the house is closed and you have keys in your hand. So yeah, work tightly with your mortgage consultant, your realtor on that to make sure that you're making good decisions there. Another piece I was thinking about outside of wasting time is if you're renting, a lot of times your lease will say, your lease is for a year, but you need a 2-month notice to be able to get out of the lease at the end. I've had folks come talk to me and they get their pre-approval and that day they put their notice in.
And the process can take longer than 2 months.
That's not a good idea.
No.
It's just not. So if you're within the 2 months of your lease, one thing that would be a very important thing to do is read the lease or talk to your management company and find out, is there a month-to-month type of option for you? And if so, how much is it?
Yeah. Or what are the consequences if you did break your lease early? Is it just a fee? It's something you can afford? Is that something that you'd be willing to do?
Yeah. And most apartment complexes and things like that are not, they're used to people coming and going. So you talking to them about the possibility of you buying a home is not normally going to put you in jeopardy of, not being able to renew your lease. If it is, there are some legal folks you could talk to probably about that. Yeah. So definitely just get the information. That way, going through. And that's something too that we do very often with our buyers is we'll sit down and we'll take a look at the lease with them. We cannot provide any legal advice, but we can see what we can see there as far as, what if there are month-to-month options available and things like that. So just to be able for us all to have an idea of what your real timeline is. I think those are probably the two biggest ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more, but we're kind of coming up on time here. Lastly, we promised to give you a detailed plan of action. So here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go to the handouts. And first of all, before I forget, I'm going to put the handouts for the Minneapolis report that we went through. And if you'll notice, that should show up just to the right of the display screen there, and you can download it. I'm going to drop the St. Paul one in. Here's the one for the 16 county Twin Cities region. And then,
we have to do Edina.
I guess we have to do the Edina one too. There we go. There's the Edina one too.
We have a participant that lives in Edina, so we thought this would be valuable for him too.
Is he on here
Is he
today?
on here today? Are you there?
And then lastly, this is our home buyer's guide. We're going to drop that there. So feel free to download that. If you come to do a buyer's consultant or consultation with me or Amy, we're going to sit down and go through our buyer's guide with you. And it's chock full of helpful tips and things that you can do that are just way too much to talk about on a short webinar like this. Wow, I just feel like I've talked a lot.
You did, but that's good.
I'm going to take a sip. Happy coffee break, you guys. Okay, so before we move on to the next thing, do we have any other questions here? Let me see here. Can I get a report from my neighborhood? Yes, you can.
Absolutely. Let us know.
Let us know. In the buyer's guide, by the way, our contact information is in there. Feel free to call, text, email, whatever works for you.
And we thought it would be valuable for us to do a webinar so you can be introduced to us. I mean, are we the kind of people that you'd like to work with?
Amy's a lot easier to see in person. She's not quite this blurry in real life.
We're going to figure that out for the next one.
No. This was my fault. Be still. Okay.
Okay, we have fun.
We have fun, but
we get the job done.
We get the job done. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. I will say end with this. Next week, same time, next Thursday, the 15th at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're thinking of selling a home or you're just curious about what that looks like, we're doing one that's focused on home sellers.
So we have clients that are prepping their house to sell for spring market. So a lot of people are doing that right now, and we can talk about some procedures and some great ideas to get that going.
Yeah. And I guess maybe I probably interrupted myself because you have disappeared a second ago. If you do want a report for your neighborhood or your particular city that you live in, just message us via any of those contact options there in the buyer guide. Or if you're on right now and you're watching this live, you can drop it in the question and then we can follow up with you and get that to you. Note this, if you're watching this from the replay, those market stats
may not be relevant.
They won't be relevant for sure next week anyway. So just know those stats are not going to be the stats for very long. And they were just for November. So December actually just came out as far as the overarching one, not all the details, but that one, I just shared it online. Listings are down 22% in the Twin Cities overall region.
That's not unusual for the winter months.
Yeah, but it's down though against the previous year though.
Yep,
so they're down. So inventory's down, number of sales are down, and the days on market are up. So what that means to you is it might still be a seller's market, but it's more advantageous this time of year right now for buyers than it will be probably in March, April, May, June, whenever we got hopefully peak market.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for coffee time. This was our first one, and we're so excited that you're here.
You got to see it warts and all.
Warts and all,
The next one will be better.
All right.
With this part anyway. Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Have a good one.